My name is Heather Brantley. I am EdTech EDU, and I'm also Heather at CuriPod.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, Heather. It's been a minute. I've had you on the show in the past. God, I want to say it was the first time I had you on the podcast.
Was in Houston.
Yes, TCCA.
Yes.
Which is no longer a thing.
I know. It was really sad.
Yeah, that was the largest free EdTech conference in Texas, and sunset on that, but lo and behold, we are at McCall, and you have a different job now.
I do.
So
life has made a couple of changes. So supporting students in the classroom was big for me, but supporting teachers, exhausted teachers, was also big. And there's a company, CuriPod, for the last 3 years, I've used them in my classroom, and an opportunity came up for events and community and supporting teachers around the world. So that was super exciting and a great opportunity for me.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I know it's been pretty fresh at it. And from what I hear, from what I see, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
So
Thank
awesome.
you. Yes, very fresh.
And you are one of the few people, if not the only one. Oh, no, you're the only one as of right now who's been to every single food tour. So I'm super excited and want to thank you for that.
Super excited. My plus one, Jamie Donnelly, I was her plus one, but yes.
That's right. You were her plus one at TCEA 2022.
Yes.
2023. That's right. Yeah.
When you kicked this off.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yes, it was hard not having her here because you build these relationships and you look forward to doing things with people. So, but I am just blessed that I've been able to make so many friends and connections and break bread with so many wonderful people because of a great event that you put together.
Well, I appreciate it. And that's what today's topic is all about, the connections, right?
It is.
It's all about those personal connections. We have online connections. We have social media connections. We have people who we quote unquote call friends. And then we have the in-person relationships that are the most important ones that we have to build. And it's events like this, whether it be McCall, whether it be ISTE, whatever conference it is, whatever title, whatever acronym is in front of it, it really boils down to relationships. So
100% about the relationships.
Yeah.
So even me being here at McCall, it came alive at the food tour. I mean, so we had great conversations and met new people. So Danielle and Angie were on the food tour, and we just kicked it off. And because of our relationship that started over breaking bread, we ended up not only just spending the rest of the night doing fun activities together, we have been like a group friend. Like we text, we check in on each other, and then we greet each other like we have never seen each other before in 100 years. Like, take me down in the lobby, but I've never been so welcomed at a conference before than those ladies doing that.
Oh my gosh.
And that was because of your food tour. So you're kind of responsible for any of these fun relationships that I may have.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what these food tours are all about. And, we're not here to discuss like the food tour, but it's
the opportunity.
That was the goal, was to help people build those personal relationships. We had a couple individuals, and there was one particular individual who I met at registration who was here alone, and she's doing her emergency certification here in Michigan alone. And I invited her. I said, hey, I have an open slot. Somebody was actually got injured and last minute had to kind of drop out of the food tour. So I was like, hey, I have a spot. It's been paid for already. And I really wanted her to join because I saw that first year teacher. I saw I'm here alone, I don't know anybody, and that was what these tours were all built about and for, was to make sure that we support those educators, whether they're new, whether you're 20 years into the game or what have you, but just to support them and help them build their network and communicate with people and go beyond their four walls, and to actually build those relationships that will flourish into friendships, that will flourish into, hey, let me help you out. I got something for you that I could help you with your students or what have you with this PBL or whatever it is you're doing, because steel sharpens steel.
Yes. Well, and I have to say, just hearing the sparks in the conversations of the aha moments, and it really started, like, for me last night, I was interested, like, how did they find out about the food tour?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were asking people, right?
So I was asking people, like, what media source works best for you to find out. And a lot of it was the word of mouth of like, hey, I've done this, like you need to do that. So find a group when they're having the events page on any conference, whenever they're talking about, whether it be like the dance party that we were at this morning. So that's where the glow in the dark was, the food tour. A lot of your conferences have events for you to come in. And I know it's scary to walk in, but you're going to walk out because educators really have a heart for relationships. And that's what it's really about. I don't know of anyone who's in the education business who doesn't have a heart for relationships. I think that is so important. I like the strategy, like every time we move to a different place, like, hey, find a new group of people. But you find like afterwards, we all were like, hey, let's go somewhere else and sit down. Like, let's continue these conversations. So there was even several last night, like everybody left and we were still sitting and having like some really like, how can we change the world and make a difference? And how can we support exhausted teachers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because doing it by yourself is going to be exhausting.
Yeah, and you're gonna that candle, that flame is gonna start burning out. You're gonna burn more wax that way than actually building upon each other in that. So yeah, it's interesting you say that because I don't remember which food tour it was, but there was one particular group of people who shared an Uber on the way back to the conference or their hotel after a food tour, and they had met at the food tour, and then now that was you, right?
Yes.
It was you.
Yes, I'm like, hey, anybody need a ride? Let's go do something else.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
it was in Florida, wasn't it?
Yes, it was this. That's how I met the McCall ladies.
Oh, that's right.
Where,
that is okay.
Because I was like,
I haven't had any coffee.
Anybody else? No, but you're like, it's a good point because you realize that these are safe people and you want to continue
like-minded educators.
The conversation, and you want to continue like, hey, how can I support you? How can you support me? Because that's what relationships are about, is like bonding together and holding each other up. It's not that one's elevated from another. We are all humans with a big heart and we all want to just like support each other.
Equal playing field, yeah.
And I think that, coming together, like you said, when you sit down at a table to eat, the conversation may start about how delicious the food is. And by the way, that was some delicious food. Has been on every one. Like I'm always so impressed at the detail you give that. But when you sit down and you break bread, you take off all the jackets, you take off the heavy backpacks, you take off everything, and it's just the shoulders down in the conversation. It's real, it's raw, there's no expectations, there's no set topic. And then you really get to see people for who they are. Yeah. And, and maybe not everybody's cup of tea. I may not be my high energy, maybe not something everybody wants. But for those who like, hey, we're in and I'm going to be your cheerleader and I want to support you, those conversations go beyond the food tour. Yeah. They go into, hey, let me connect with you on social. And then those turn into, hey, what next conference are you going to be at? And then it's the greeting, like we're the family that have, missed each other greatly and we're going to really make a scene at the entrance, and that's okay. Yeah. And then
a little bit of vulnerability.
Yeah, and then today it's like, okay, it's the last day. We know that we're going to have to say goodbye. And I think we may have already hugged like 100 times because I'm going to miss you so much and I'm looking forward to the next conference. And I have to say, for me, I've even texted a lot of people that have been at conferences with me and like, hey, I'm thinking of you and I miss you. Because you build those relationships, and I love you comes into conversations eventually because it is over time, those relationships become deep and they're personal. And for some reason, for most people, when you're at a conference, some conflict happens somewhere else, whether it be in your classroom, your personal life, or even your luggage getting here.
Oh, yeah, that's
right. And you come in with a weight, and these people help you carry your weight while you're here. Yeah. So, and you help build those relationships.
I appreciate it.
And I think that, even for me to leave the classroom for CurryPod, there is a lot of great companies I've been doing work with for over, time period as Heather Tech EDU, and there's still some that I'm going to support. Brisk was one of them. They, sponsored the food tour last night, but Brisk has been a company that, they have a heart for educators. Yeah. CurryPod was hard to leave the classroom because if you would have asked me, I think we had conversations back in November with a lot of people at Nicegate and about me leaving the classroom. I was like, oh no. And then over Christmas break, I was like, yes, teachers are exhausted and they need support. And like, I feel like everybody has a gift, and I think that's kind of one of mine. It's like supporting people and lifting them up. But it's because of great people like you who put those pathways for us to come together and do that. It takes a village.
Yeah.
Like, this is nothing that EDU can do, EdTech Bites can do. This is something that there is a group of people who are passionate about people. Like, individually, I'm nothing, but as a whole, I feel like we're relationship, rock stars.
It's a
We're working
support
on
system.
It is. It's a 100% support system.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You were talking about brisk teaching, and then obviously these episodes are sponsored by Note, but people
we're wonderful people there. Like, I got to visit with them last night after you left.
Yeah. You did? Okay,
yes,
good.
Yes.
Good.
Adele, I sat down and talked to Adele.
Oh, Adele from Magic School. Okay, got it.
So, no, not from, I'm sorry.
Abik.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Abik, I sat down and visited with them for just a little bit last night after the food tour. So once again, it's like being in that same community, and Note, it's doing some great things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you talk about the relationship and the help for struggling and drowning teachers right now. And, they're all these companies that I partner with, Note being one of them, is that they have something to offer our teachers. And from the outside looking in, some people might look at it as, oh, those two people can't be talking to each other. They're from two different companies, but we're all in this together. It's
absolutely. And we have different platforms.
Yeah, exactly. And some platforms do different things. And what I love about Note is it was started with the students actually doing it. And it started with college students, and every company has something different to offer, and everyone fills a different niche. CuriPod might fill a niche that brisk teaching might not, that Note might not. But as a teacher, those 3 tools or 4 tools are going to take me from here to here, which is going to help me build better relationships with my students.
Yes. Well, and okay, so CuriPod, what made them stand out also, yes, we support teachers, but it was every student voice in the classroom can be heard. Every student needs to be valued. Every student needs to know that they are important. And CuriPod gives a platform, one, to support teachers, and to help students grow. But that validation of my voice counts, and I have something to contribute to my class, those are things that builds relationships within classes.
Yeah.
And CuriPod does a wonderful job with that. So the team, they were educators who once were, themselves. And they sat in a college class one day and were like, I'm tired of being talked at. Let's talk as a group. And they brought a dream to life.
What a concept.
Yes, because it really is. Like, nobody wants to be talked at.
For 45 minutes every class period, or what have you.
And if you ask a student a question, and you have 20 kids in there, your time as a teacher, you're going to get 2 or 3 voices.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be the same 2 or 3.
Yeah, they're going to overpower and overtake the conversation.
But with CuriPod, every student's voice counts. And there's power in that.
Yeah.
And it helps them see that, they have value. So I couldn't say no to a company that did that. Because if instead of impacting the 100 students that were beneath me, I now like seeing the post and hearing, we're at almost like 1 million students.
Wow.
Like, if we did not actually already hit that. So that's a big number of students that I'm a part of a relationship group that we impact.
Nice. Now you have a very interesting story about stepping away from the classroom because it happened so abruptly and quickly.
It did.
So if you want to kind of talk about that, that'd be great.
Back going over at NiceGate, I was like, no. So that was like the week of Thanksgiving. So then we have the week of Christmas break comes in. I leave the classroom for Christmas break with the heart of I'm going to return. So I believe things are bigger than me. Yeah. And back at the beginning of of December, right after I got back from NiceGate, I had a friend who had to step away from the classroom, an excellent teacher, but she was like, hey, I'm having to dip into savings. Like, it's time for me to come back into the classroom. If you know of any jobs, I was like, I'll keep an eye out. I'll pray for you. Like, we're going to see where this goes. And then over Christmas break, whenever I was talking to the CuriPod team and I went ahead and applied and I didn't even realize I was interviewing. It's one of those, like my relationship over the years, I was like, oh, I thought we were having just a normal conversation.
Yeah.
No, it was an interview. So it was great. But anybody who knows me kind of goes, oh yeah, I get that. So I accepted the position like New Year's Eve. And I let the school know, but I came with a plan. I wasn't just walking out on students, because if there was the same students that I was returning to in January, it would have been a different story.
Yeah.
But I was lucky, I was blessed to have a position where I taught CTE, and it was a semester class. So it was a new group of kids. Here we have a teacher who needed a job.
Okay.
And then the district was like, can you stay a week and train her? And I was like, absolutely. I want to make sure she's supported. I still am supporting her and the other teachers there. She was able to pick up my responsibilities and obligations that I had with Lego Build the Change.
Yeah.
And a couple of other projects. So she steps in. On Friday, we have like big hugs goodbye. Everybody was so supportive of it. Monday, I'm on a plane to FETC and with Gary Watt. So I had a weekend break.
So just like that.
It was just like that.
Wow.
And it's been nonstop since then, but it has been such a blessing, and the support of so many friends that I have made over the years at the conferences going, we knew this was happening. We knew eventually you would be with CurryPod, because once again, they had a heart for students and teachers. We're about supporting teachers. So they knew like my personality fit that company.
Got it.
So it just, I think it was fate.
Yeah, that's, everything happens for a reason.
It does.
Yeah.
Much bigger than me.
Yeah. Now, relationships. Going back to the relationship part, if you had to give advice to, let's say, a new teacher, that new emergency credential teacher who I was chatting with yesterday about relationships, what advice would you give a new teacher about the importance of building a relationship, and maybe how to kind of come out of their shell a little bit?
Stepping out of the comfort zone.
Stepping out of the comfort zone, not necessarily, being the loud, very big personality on campus, but starting to build those relationships so that they could learn beyond their four walls.
I think it starts with a good morning. It starts with a hello.
Okay.
It starts with, don't think big, think small. It starts with a smile, good morning. If I do a good morning for a week, that may eventually turn into more of a coffee thing. But it's also okay to go in and talk to your administration and say, I'm struggling. Who would be a great mentor for me? And a mentor doesn't have to be an assigned mentor. A mentor is going to be someone that matches you on your personality, on your level. But I was always one of those, especially those that I seen working their tail off, and I didn't know that anybody else recognized it, your cafeteria workers, your custodians, your aides, and other teachers, like you can tell. I would just get an extra drink in the morning, drop it off.
Okay.
A candy bar goes a long way.
A donut.
A donut. I remember, that's how we started the last podcast.
Yes.
It was the donut holes.
Yeah, that's right.
I do remember that. So yeah, just little gestures, can start conversations.
Yeah.
And then it's okay to just say, hey, I'm struggling. And you may find that they're struggling too. Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay to, don't turn it into a gripe session, by no means. But it's okay to say, I have a problem, I'm looking for a solution.
Yeah.
And you may find that other people can relate to that, or maybe they've done it too. You're not doing it alone, because I can tell you as a teacher, we're not the only one exhausted in the building. Everyone else is exhausted too. And if you see little Chipper over there, you may say, hey, what are you doing? Like, what's working for you in your classroom? Asking questions. Oh yeah, that's being curious.
Yeah.
Which goes back another thing with CurryPod. I'm curious. I'm going to ask questions. Like, how did you do that? Mm-hmm. I don't know everything.
Yeah.
I will never know everything. But am I going to have fun learning in the process? Am I going to ask questions? Yes. Does my dentist sometimes go, would you stop asking questions? Yes. But I want to know, what are you doing? Yes. So now I have him trained. He'll go, I'm using this tool. It's called a da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing, But ask the questions, be curious. But the biggest thing is don't just assume that people know that you're struggling.
Okay.
Those first year teachers, they think like, oh, well, they know where I'm at and they're not helping me. No, and speak. Be the first to speak.
Yeah.
And, a hello goes, when we sat down at the table, it was like, hello, I'm so-and-so. And then I start by asking questions. How did you find out about this? So, inquiring and being curious about the person you're with. And if they shut you down, they're not your person. Like, that was not supposed to be, they're somebody else's person.
Yeah, everyone is not meant for everyone.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, because there's some people I know that probably go, oh, God, I can't get away from her fast enough.
Now,
but that's okay.
Yeah, and that kind of goes to my other point that I was going to bring up is the, I hate this word. I hate this word, but I can't think of another more appropriate word to say right now. That when you're in the workroom, in the lounge and whatever, and you start hearing that toxic conversation, I hate that word, that those conversations that happen, they rub off.
Yes.
That energy rubs off on people. And I've seen it happen. Yeah, I've seen it happen, the Debbie Downer.
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen that happen in multiple occasions where that can bring a new, fresh teacher, somebody with, with just a heart of gold, wanting to do the right thing for education. I've seen it just kind of bring people down, and then they too start bringing that energy everywhere they go. Have you seen that? Oh, well, I'm pretty sure we've all seen it. How do you kind of deal with that?
Okay, so I had a young lady that I was in that situation.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, you want to come and join us for lunch? And it wasn't to be ugly to anyone else, but she was like, normally someone that probably wouldn't have ate lunch with us. And she's like, yes. And then after a couple of lunches, she goes, my days are better. My spouse sees a difference in me when I get home because lunch was bringing me down. So I have a rule at lunch. You can gripe, but you have to be willing to look for a solution to end the gripe.
Okay.
And sometimes you may just need to say, I need to vent for a minute, but I'm not going to carry the weight. And that's okay too. But just be very direct. Like, what is your goal with why you're complaining? Why are you having a Debbie Downer moment?
Yeah.
Because if you're doing it because it's your new habit, that's not okay.
Yeah.
So, because you'll bring, it's that bad apple in the,
in the orchard, yeah.
But I really think that it's important for you to, for people to look for those people and say, hey, would you like to join our group? If you see someone, and you're not downing anyone else, you're not putting the other group down, and that was nothing against them, but I could see she was struggling and she needed an out. Mm-hmm. So not even just a seasoned educator, as someone who has a heart for people, as educators and whole, whether it's, maybe you are the new person and you're watching a group of teachers do that, maybe you should invite someone over and start giving them a positive feedback. Mm-hmm. But I always try to make sure that in our lunch group every day, that there was some laughter. I think laughter is the key. It doesn't take much for me to open my mouth and something come out, and there's a lot of laughter. But I think that's important. I do think that laughter, unexpected laughter is the best though. Yeah. But I think that laughter is the key. Find the good in the world around you, because there is some. And there's some silly stuff happening. Share the silly stories.
As long as it's not at the expense
of someone else.
Of someone else.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, if it's, then that is the key.
Girl, what is she wearing?
Yeah, no. You know what?
Don't
you don't know the whole story. Maybe she was in a domestic abuse relationship, and that's all she had to walk away with. Yeah. You never know anyone else's story until you sit down and start breaking bread with them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they learn to take off the jackets and the coats and the heavy things that are weighing them down.
Yeah, the burdens. Yeah.
The burdens of life. Which mentioned in stress. So McCall did this cool thing this morning. I got you a prize.
Okay. All right. What do we have?
So to have a stress-free day.
A stress-free day. Oh, look at that.
A stress ball.
I like it.
But it's
I will use it.
Yes, just when you get stressed, find something positive, and that ball is a happy thing. So think about that,
And this ball is not going to stay with me all the time, because when I see somebody who might be having a stressful day.
Oh, I think that we may have to.
We may have
to think about this one.
Okay.
This is genius. McCall did a great job on stress-free day.
Okay.
Because that's our whole thing. Our purpose. That's the whole purpose of you being here.
Yeah.
is to bring happiness in relationships. Because you weren't coming to McCall.
I wasn't coming to McCall at all.
And I was
I'd
like,
never even heard about it. When I was approached about it, hey, you coming to
Yeah.
McCall? I said, bless you.
Yeah, that was at
I was
FETC.
like, bless you. They were like, I was like, oh, I thought you sneezed. What the hell is
Yes.
McCall? What are you
Yes.
talking about? What
and
is
then,
that?
you know, TCA, I'm like, with you and your
Yeah.
wife, I was like, you've got to be at McCall.
Yeah.
You've got to do it. And I'm glad you did.
I'm glad I came.
I made new friends last night. I built relationships, had made memories.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what it's really about.
And I'm excited to jog to Canada tomorrow morning.
Okay, I am going to be watching your social to find out. Maybe you need to come and clip that on the end of here. Like, how was that jog?
Yes.
I want to know. But, you know, what a great goal.
Yeah.
And it is.
Yeah.
It's about setting goals.
Yeah.
With relationships, what is your point of talking to them? It's because I want to make a connection.
Yes. A real connection.
real connection.
Yeah. Authentic.
And if it's not real, it's okay. But, you know, I have to say, I'm pretty blessed that we made a connection.
Oh, yeah.
Jamie Donnelly was so responsible for this.
Jamie Donnelly was responsible for a lot more than just a relationship.
Yes.
And it's sad that she can't be here
I
today,
know.
so.
She was responsible for the food tour.
Yeah.
And it's
Yes, she
making.
was. Yes, she was.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so is it because someone that you made a relationship with sees a potential and poured positive into you?
Yes.
And that's what it's
Absolutely.
about.
Absolutely.
It is
Yep.
about pouring positive.
Yeah, and her and I have a great relationship to this day. And you know, she's met my wife, she's met my kids, and you know, I make sure I thank her every time at every food tour that she's at. But you know, and she's always, you know, Jamie. She
I
doesn't
do.
want the attention.
She doesn't,
Yeah.
but she is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But you know, we're gonna break it down. Do you know who's really in the relationship responsibility? Do you know who's really responsible for so much of Heather Tech EDU?
Mary Alice.
Ellie.
Oh,
Jamie's
Ellie.
daughter. Mary Alice is in
Really?
there. Oh my gosh, I love Mary Alice. But no, Ellie was my student in 5th grade during COVID.
What?
So, but Ellie started out 5th grade. She had a bad luck of illnesses.
Okay.
And I was the teacher. So it was really funny. Ellie was in the car with me the other day. She's my Career Pod student ambassador. So we did a school visit.
Ah.
And then Ellie and I were talking, and this is where it's just such a beautiful thing. Ellie's like, when was the first time you talked to my mom? So I gave her my phone. I said, find the first text. She scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. She's like, you've been talking to my mom way too much.
Oh my gosh.
Just through text.
Yeah.
So the very first text, Ellie had been sick, and I was checking on her. And that's when it started. But then we were out for COVID. Ellie was in my Zoom class for COVID. Jamie, being the excellent person that she is, she brought in some guest visitors to the Zoom, and we just really connected. She was doing Global Maker Day. But if I would have never had Ellie in my classroom, I don't know if all of these things would have ever happened. So I break it down to that 5th grader, bless her heart, who had to be sick for our relationship to happen, which I think eventually it would have without illness, but Ellie.
Okay.
And it was me building my relationship with not only my students, but with their families, because they were part of my daily life. They were important. And you know, when you say like, once my student, always my student, I even got a phone call while I was at South by Southwest from a student many years ago who just had it laid on his heart to call me at 10 o'clock at night to say, Ms. Brantley, you made a difference in my life, and I needed you to know that.
Wow.
And like alligator tears, everybody was like, are you okay? I was like, just give me a moment to get off the phone. But it's because relationships are important to me.
Wow.
My personal children, we have great relationships. My husband, like, we're going to celebrate 30-year anniversary next year. Like, we've been together for
30 years married or together?
Married.
Wow.
We have been over 30 years together. Can you believe somebody could live with me that long, right? Yes.
Here, I'll pass the stress ball back to you.
I need to give it to him. Yes. So I have a couple extra just in
There we
case he
go.
needs them. And for my 2 children. But it's about being intentional.
Yeah.
Maybe that's really the word in all of it. Like when you're building and stuff, be intentional. Be intentional with your thoughts when you're listening. Because it's not about them learning about you. It's about you learning about them. And it does. So being intentional as that new teacher, be intentional with your conversations. And as a seasoned teacher, or even if it's your 2nd year, you remember what it was like last year as your 1st year.
Yeah.
Even if you're a seasoned teacher in a new district, things change. And I'm always like, how did that policy ever happen? Like, who thought of this? Because I've been doing it like this for 10 years. Why would you change it?
Yeah.
Because you changed districts. So, or you change admin. But be intentional with your time, your thoughts, your conversations with people. And I can't not take anything material with me whenever my time's done.
Yeah.
But I can hold those memories and those relationships in my heart, and I hope that they can hold on to that as well. So, a funny story of like what we've decided, because you always talk about like when I'm gone, like what happens to me. So there's a funny thing, and I hope it happens. My friends are all on board. My family has laughed; they're all on board.
It's not going to take a dark turn now, is it?
No.
Okay.
So
all right.
I think it's kind of fun. So I want my cremations mixed with concrete and made into a bench, so my friends can still talk to me even when I'm not here.
And that bench helps support.
Oh, I've got to add, my friends are going to love this.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yes, because like, I want them to know, like, I'm always here. Like, our relationship's bigger than just this moment. Like, I carry my friends with me everywhere I go. They're
cool.
like in there. Oh, and that was on the microphone. But, but they are. Because relationships are the most important thing to me.
They absolutely are. They absolutely are. Well, Heather, thank you so much for your insight, your feedback, and your 3 cents. I was going to say your 2, but you really gave us 3 cents today. And how can people connect with you, learn more, and maybe be an authentic personal connection with you? Oh,
absolutely. So, and I've made some great ones. Just, I am Heather Tech EDU on social. Heather Brantley, I think it's actually what it is.
On LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn. Learned that last night.
Yeah, I had to help. I had to help somebody navigate to your page.
Thank you for that. Heather at CurryPod. It's, we're a small team, and I'm just so blessed to be able to be just Heather at currypod.com, So I am always happy to jump in if you're struggling, if you need a friend, a listening ear. And a lot of times, maybe I meet you not for me to have a relationship with, but for me to introduce you to a friend.
There you go.
Because I really think that I've seen a lot of that over the years. Like, you watch, like, oh, I remember us all together, and now look at that beautiful relationship.
Absolutely, yes. So, intentionality.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your insights, and have a great rest of the conference.
Oh, it's a wonderful conference.
All right.